Hello and welcome to Self-Care in the City, everyone. Oh, I've made it. I'm here. I'm Chantel, founder of the ThriveWell Hub. And if you're new here, Self-Care in the City exists. It's existing today. I had a lot of problems getting on today, guys, but we've made it. And Self-Care in the City is here because I believe wellness should be more about talking to you. Your morning routine should be more than just like green juices and trying to optimize every part of your life. It should be something that we talk about and understand about more. So, this is what we're going to do today. At the heart of this podcast, it's really more about being human. And I was very human in the last few minutes, struggling to get a hold of this actual podcast, what I'd call the messy middle, right? It's a part of life that so many have experienced. So there you go. But we don't always talk openly about it. There's moments that you feel really disconnected, and I want to talk about that more today. Sometimes you're feeling lonely, you're feeling burnt out, you're feeling lost, you feel stuck between who we've been and who we're becoming. And through these kind of conversations, I sit down with really cool, fascinating people, thinkers, founders, practitioners, change makers in the wellness world to explore what it actually means to live well in this modern world, especially in London. And today's conversation feels especially timely because we're now counting down to Unmasked, taking place on the 13th of June. And Unmasked was created to give men the opportunity to step away from performance, pressure, expectation, and really reconnect with who they are through having honest and really cool conversations, meaningful experiences. And I just really wanted men to have genuine human connection. So, as part of that event, as you know, I've been speaking with a number of the incredible contributors helping to shape the day. And today, I'm joined by Robbie Sloan. So, Robbie's work explores connection, nature, reflection. Hi, Robbie.
Hi.
What it means to live more authentically in a world that often encourages to keep achieving, keep performing, keep moving. Um, and today isn't really about the experience, it's about the human being behind it. So, Robbie, welcome. Welcome to Self Care in the City. How
Thank
are
you. Thank you, Chantel. It's really lovely to be here. And thanks very much for inviting me on your podcast. I'm very
you?
grateful. And yeah, really excited to be here.
Absolutely.
After our trials trying to get the machine to record the podcast, but we got there. We got there.
It's only human, right? Things happen, but I think it's good that our audience knows that sometimes things don't work in life, but you have to keep your wits about you. You have to keep that positive mindset that things are going to get through and work for you. And I did, and here we are, and I'm so grateful that we get to have this conversation. Right. So I wanted to start off with kind of the journey here, I guess, to unmask or to us being now connected the way we are. If I sat down with you, Robbie, with your 25-year-old self, and if we sat down with him and we told him that one day he'd be creating experiences that explore connection, nature, what it means to be human, what do you think he would say?
25-year-old self.
Yeah, you're 25 yourself. What do you think?
I think I would be surprised.
Why is that?
Well, when I was about 25, I was playing music. I was trying to make a career in music. I was writing songs. I was singing in a band.
Ooh, tell us more.
Well, we were based in Edinburgh, and we got a band together and we did some gigs around Edinburgh, and then we decided to make up our own tour and go to Europe. Bought an old bus, an old banger, did it up. So it was 5 in the band, and 4 friends just came along for the ride, and yeah, we did 2 months around Europe, just kind of trying to find gigs. We had a generator so we could set up on the street with a PA. So we're kind of like a rock folk band.
Wait a second, what did you play?
I
What
was
did
a singer.
you were the singer?
Yeah.
Cool. I
And
didn't
most of my friends were at uni or just finishing uni, and I didn't go to uni. I kind of left school at 16 and ended up working in restaurants as a chef. So we we were having a lot of fun. We were carefree. We didn't, we were all just living the dream at that point. But we did spend a lot of time in nature when we did our tour around Europe. You know, there wasn't enough room for everybody to sleep in the bus. We didn't have any money, so we'd like find woods to camp in outside the town we might be playing the next day.
Wow.
Get some tents. So there was when we first formed as a band, we went down to Wales to one of the guy Rafe's parents' house for a weekend, and that was all nature. We spent we did a lot of stuff in nature as well, hanging out. So I mean, nature's always been a big part of my life. I grew up in a house in the middle of a wood in Scotland. And just rolled around in the countryside there as kids, just rivers and forests and fields. And so I think my 25-year-old self would be like, oh, that's a shame. The music thing didn't work out. Now you're talking to trees. So I guess,
looking back now, what do you think your younger self got wrong about success? Because obviously, as a singer, you want to succeed. You're going touring. You want to like really get well known. But what do you think you got wrong about the way that you thought about this is success?
I don't think I got anything wrong. I just don't think it was good enough. I don't think we were. What is it said? Well, I remember a guy in the music industry told me once: "Many are called and few are chosen." It's a tough nut to crack, and you just weren't in the right place at the right time. I think our music, people said, came from the 70s, so it was a bit out of date in the time of but we loved what we did, so we didn't care. We weren't making music for the market. We were just doing what we wanted to do. But I think I do. You know, yeah, I was really disappointed because I had to make a decision that I wasn't going to be able to make a living out of playing music, you know, a few years later. And I'd started to film bands. I got a video camera, started making videos, and that's kind of led me into my world of being a film director and a creative. So I always think, you know, things are meant to be, and that wasn't meant to be. But we had a lot of joy out of it. And, you know, it's like the fondest memories when we meet up. It's just straight back to that time when we were touring around Europe. It was just the most amazing experience we ever had.
I can imagine. Can you, I guess, share anything that really was exciting, that really was like, oh my gosh, you did that, or you saw that, or that happened with
I mean, there's so many stories. Every day was an adventure. The bus kept breaking down, and then somebody would walk out of the mist in the morning and just fix it for us in France, some stranger. We did some really crazy, we played little concerts in restaurants, burger bars, a circus tent, like a festival off a stage. We were kind of just like trying to make up gigs as we got along. It was all made up. Some of the wacky thing we did was one night we parked outside Amsterdam, somewhere in a wood, and I pitched our little triangular 2-man tent on top of the bus and put the guy ropes through the windows and tied them to the window handles. So me and my mate Hunter slept in that. But then the next morning, everybody got in the bus and started driving. So they drove us into Amsterdam with us on top of the bus in a tent, looking out of the tent door, just lying on the roof in a tent.
If that isn't
quite a picture,
the hippie lifestyle, I don't know what is.
Yeah, so I mean, it was great. It was such a great experience.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. But it feels like you spent a lot of time working with and observing people, obviously, as being a film director. What do you think then, if we kind of come to the idea of what men are carrying, what do you think men are carrying today that they're not perhaps talking about? Because you were with a whole bunch of guys when you were on this bus, and I'm sure you guys shared things together with themselves, and over the years, maybe you didn't share certain things, but what do you think after all your time that you think men are carrying that they're not talking about?
I think I'm in a privileged position because I've been going to a men's group for the last 5 years.
Okay.
And we meet up every month at Ben, who's the facilitator, who's a very, very experienced therapist, and he's been growing with us as well.
And what's the name of that group? The name of that group, that men's group?
We don't have a name. It's just called the men's group.
Am I not surprised?
It's just there's no, and so the last time we met up a couple of weeks ago, Ben asked everybody because we've a lot of us have been going for quite a long time. One of the things we had to do was to tell each other what we loved about each other, what we admired about each other, and that was really powerful, because you're like looking into the eyes of people you knew who weren't necessarily friends, but people you hung out at the men's group with, and saying, you know, what you admired about them, what you loved about them, you know, and that was really powerful. So that's the power of the men's group. You know, what happens in men's group stays in men's group. So, you know, it's a place where we share, and then we do we workshop through themes. But like all my time, like from playing music, and I did a lot of busking before that, and then working as a waiter in restaurants for my uncle when I was a kid, and then all the filmmaking, all those different people. I had to go into all these different worlds. You know, I'd be in an office with the CEO of a major bank doing an interview with them. Then I would be with a celebrity making a film, you know, of them running around Tough Mudder, or you know, the kind of like in like a national security center where there's like everything's top secret, and there's so many strict rules about where you can go to film, and you have to sign non-disclosure, and you can't tell anybody what you've seen and where you've been, and just like this huge broad spectrum of different clients and filmmaking and experiences. And then do my nature therapy. I mean, you know, I think that I can read people pretty well, actually, to be honest. And I don't mean to brag, but I think it is one of my big skills. I can really read people fast. Within a minute of talking to them, I can feel where their pain's coming from, what state of mind they're in. So,
and that's such a skill, isn't it? It really is. To be able to do that is a skill, because some people, they just kind of go through life and they meet people and that's it, but they don't really get to know them or understand that person. But to do that really quickly is such a skill, and a good skill.
Yeah, it's like an intuition now, and also people for some reason tend to share their secrets with me. I've got so many secrets amongst our community that I hold. I'm not going to tell anybody any of them, you know, and that's fine. But so there's for some reason people have felt comfortable to just share stuff with me that's private and personal. But I think, which is a real privilege, you know, and I don't take it.
I think it's more than just comfortable. I think they feel safe. They feel safe with you to do that. And so I guess a question that I have on top of what you're just saying is, what surprises you the most when people do let their guards down, they talk to you, they feel safe enough to drop whatever performance is going on in their life and tell you the truth about things? What is there things that you're like, oh wow, that you find out from men? Not their secrets.
I'm always surprised when I hear the secret, because it's always generally, you know, a bit of a shocker. It's like, oh right, you're having an affair. Oh right, you've spent all your wife's savings, or
Yes.
you know, or what, you know, or you know, I feel really depressed just now, but you know, I don't want to tell anybody, but because it's embarrassing. And I think that, like, getting back around to the men, you know, like what I find about men is that, you know, there's a lot of men. I play football with a bunch of guys on a Monday night, you know, and it's really fun, and we're really mellow men when we play football. But there's you know, there's a bunch of them that feel like they kind of live in that kind of like macho, I'm a man, I don't show emotion because I'm the man, and men don't show emotion, and I'm not going to share any of my emotion, and I will contain it myself. I think in this country, I mean, I'm not sure what it's like I know that more people take therapy in the USA. It's much more common and less kind of like frowned upon, but it's a sign. I think a lot of men see it as a sign of weakness to show vulnerability, to share their feelings, their emotions, or their problems. And that's still very, very much embedded in the culture here. And why? Well, that's that point, you know. It's about that point of you know, just not wanting to look weak, I think, is part of that as well. And, you know, don't want to show weakness.
Yeah.
And I think that,
but do you find that changing
for men to get organized and talk to each other? I mean, it's changing. There is change coming, which is great. But, you know, my wife, she's She goes to women's groups, she goes to the other things. The women are really good at getting organized, sharing, and they'll just share everything with each other, and then everybody just feels a little bit better about everything, and you can kind of move forward a bit.
Yeah.
Getting men to even come down to the men's group that I go to. Some of my friends I've asked, and they're like, "Nah, it's all right. I'm not into that stuff." But it's like, I think I always had this really stupid idea. Being a creative, I always got ideas in my head. It was like, how do you get like the kind of atypical, and I don't mean this in any derogatory way, like the plumber or the builder, the kind of classic kind of macho man coming around to your house to fix something. How do you get them to open up and share? I was like, write a book about how to get a bird and keeper. I was like, oh, they might be attracted to that title because it seems a bit funny. I mean, it's a bit derogatory. There's a book about like, listening, talking, sharing, and like trying to break it down into you remember when you're building, you're putting that the wall up with the cement and brick, But think about that. You might be doing that with your wife at the moment. So, try to use the metaphors of their work life into But it was just a crazy idea. But it was just like, I think a lot of men think of things of like therapy, wellness, psychology. They just go, no way, I'm not messed up, man. There's a denial. There's a denial as well, I think,
And that's why we're trying to do this event, to make them realize it's not about all of the woo-woo. It's not about they have to come and share. It's more about learning more about themselves as men and how they actually handle the pressures of life, because that's what really gets in their head. A lot of times it's the financial things, it's the relationship things. How do you handle that better to be much more well-rounded? Men understand fitness to help themselves, but wellness is a whole other story. And that's kind of why we wanted to try and start this event in a less clinical way, in a way that doesn't feel as intimidating, hopefully. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And actually, I noticed something in what you said at one point. You're talking about the nature side of things, where you are now in your work. It seems to be that running thread through a lot of your work. What has nature taught you about being human?
Oh, well, we are nature for a start. We talk about reconnecting with nature, but we're already nature. We're already here as nature. We're part of this, amazing planet. So, I mean, the thing I love about going into nature is that as soon as you walk into a wood, you just feel better instantly. And there's scientific reasons for that. The trees release photosides, which is their aerosol. It's their immune system, and they release these aerosol chemicals into the air to protect to protect themselves. But we absorb them when we're walking amongst the trees, and they actually boost our immune system and boost our killer cells, which are our immune cells. Our heart rate drops, our stress drops. There's all these data points that happen to us when we go into a wood, which are real, and they're in science through 20 odd years of research. So I love nature because it doesn't pretend. It doesn't pretend to be anything. And so when you go into nature and you're quiet and calm, you do start to remember who you are, away from all the noise that kind of lives in the front of your head, which is your life, and it's all there. If you can imagine, that's all your life, all the noise. It kind of blocks your view. But if you can just move it a little bit away for a while, you get to see things more clearly, and you get to see a bigger picture, and that generally feels better. Then you're kind of like close and tense. My problems are all this. And so nature is a very powerful healer for your mental health and well-being without doing anything. And then if you have facilitation with someone like myself, then we're going to get deeper into remembering who we are. I think we've forgotten a lot about who we were when we were 25, when we were 8, when life was more innocent, we were more curious, more carefree, we were full of hope. And I think a lot of these things get kind of like pushed deep into the background as we kind of grow up and move into life and all the challenges that we have to face. But if you are able to kind of rejoin and remember those feelings and experiences of the past, it's really powerful, and it really helps you to feel more comfortable within yourself.
Yeah.
And given the right tools, it can help you manage a lot of situations that you might normally find really difficult to deal with.
So there's a lot to be said, it sounds like, just to getting back into nature, to find yourself outdoors and doing things. I think a lot of people are realizing just to be around community with others in nature, around things that actually are tangible and real in this world that's so obsessed with technologically induced kind of ways of being. I think people are realizing just getting back to the realness of people, of nature, of actual life means so much more and feels so much more healthy in a way. And I know that you run a program, don't you, where you are
Yeah.
what is that about?
Well, it's the Rewilded Mind, and there's 3 offerings on that, because I think that we've got this massive disconnection with the natural world. And let's just talk about this country. It's not the only place, and we're one of the most depleted countries in Europe for our species. We've lost so many species of birds, plants, insects, animals. So I feel that if I can connect people with nature, then they will respect nature more, which means that they will think more about what their daily actions are doing to affect nature. And if we don't have nature, if we don't have, clean rivers and forests and fields and hills, we're gone. We can't survive without nature. It is supporting us, and I think people forget that. If there's no nature, then we're all stuffed. That's also kind of scientifically proven. But I think that I think people look at nature at the moment as a fantasy thing. They see a beautiful picture of a whale on a feet somewhere on their social media and they go, wow, that's amazing. And they scroll on, or they watch a David Attenborough documentary and go, wow, look at that crazy bird dancing in the jungle. But I think a lot of people, especially urban dwellers who've come from urban families, and most of us live in cities, I think they feel it as a fantasy world. It's not a real world that they're connected to.
Right.
It's in another place, somewhere else. It's not real for them.
And so are you bringing them back to nature with rewilding? Is that what you do?
Well, my offerings under the Rewilded Mind are on 3 levels. Ultimately, I want to get people into the woods, into nature, to experience nature immersion and all that goes with that. And also we do nature art as part of that nature immersion, where we just...
What is nature art?
Well, that's where we get people to find objects, and then we get them to tell us what, if that object could speak, what would it say to us? And then we make art with the objects, and that's all through invitation. So it can be anything. I've seen somebody make a wacky racer's car. I've seen mandalas made. I've seen beautiful flower arrangements.
And what does that help people, I guess, to do or to realize?
There's something amazing about doing any kind of art form, but when you're doing nature art and there's no judgment and there's no design brief, it's just invitation. People just go into a state of flow and a kind of a level of meditation. They just become transfixed into this world that they're playing in. They're basically playing in it. They're finding bits of sticks and pine cones and leaves, and they're arranging them in a way that whatever just comes out of them, and everybody's got something to say. So everybody will create something,
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think nature art's really powerful. So that's one thing. And then because I think it's quite hard to get people out into the woods. It's not as it's not as easy as it sounds, because takes a commitment from somebody. They have to leave the city, go to the woods for a half a day. So, and a lot of people are stuck on the screens. And so I've got some other work, which is to help them connect with nature without leaving, without having to go into the woods. I mean, you can go and sit in a park. I mean, a park with trees in it is a really good thing to go to and that's why parks are so busy, because it's a calming place where this air feels fresher, the trees around you, so if you're in a city, you can find parks, which is great, or little walks along the river or the canal, find those quiet spaces. You might be lucky enough to have a garden, or even a balcony where you can grow your own plants, just to bring nature into your house. If you look around your house, I look around mine, it's not just about paintings on the wall of nature, but nature is everywhere. It's imprinted in our tea towels, it's in our bedding, it's on the throw on the sofa, it's in our jewelry. I mean, the influence of nature is the colors we paint in our house, the greens, the blues, they're all influenced and inspired by nature. So it's already around our material objects, because nature is the greatest influence we've got. It's the most inspiring thing we have. And so I do this thing where I do online visualization calls, where I've trained in visualization. I've built this forest in my mind, and I do online calls where I take people into my forest for a sensory journey, where they'll smell things, taste things, touch things, feel things, but they'll also have encounters with animals as well.
Okay.
For example, I had a woman on a call there a couple of weeks ago, and there's a scene in the visualization where she meets a deer in the forest. She comes across a deer in a clearing, and the deer turns around and looks at her, and they make eye contact for a few moments. And then the deer moves away. She said her heart was in her mouth when the deer turned and looked at her. So she really felt that. And there's also science behind visualization, nature visualization. It starts affecting the brain in the same way as going into the woods. Obviously, you're not getting the aerosols, the photosides from the trees, but you're getting this more calmness, resetting, relaxing. So I think for me, if I can bring people into the forest online, that's a great place to start, it's to reach out. And then the third thing I do, which I'm bringing to your amazing event, is my my audience with a tree, or the unmasked tree, which we're going to do on the 13th of June in London. What's the name of the venue again? Sorry.
It's Republic. Republic is right by East India DLR station, just 2-minute walk away. So it's actually quite close if people want to just jump right in and see what's going on with what you're doing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's going to be great, because we're going to bring a real tree into the room, and we're going
Don't give any more away. Don't give any more. I think what you're doing is fantastic, but it's going to be a surprise. I want people to know. And I guess I think what I wanted to kind of wrap this up and say, you've been chosen to be part of Unmasked, and I think it's been amazing. And out of all the ways you could be spending your time and energy, why did this event matter enough for you to say yes? I'm just curious.
I think it's really important what you're doing, and I'm really proud of what you're doing. It's a big job to set up an event like this, and for men's mental health, which, as we talked about earlier, is we've got a big problem with that in the UK. I mean, we've got a mental health crisis, and men find it really difficult to share their emotions. A lot of men do, and to create an event where it's going to be more informal, more relaxed, where there's like fun things to do and conversations which can be light and then open up into other areas. I think it will be a safe space for men who can come along and learn stuff, experience things, but not feel like pressurized. That you're not going to be sitting for an hour with a psychologist who's going to analyze your mind and tell you you're crazy.
Absolutely. Oh, this has been fabulous. I've learned so much about what you do, and a lot of ways you're thinking about how you bringing nature into how people look at wellness. So thank you so much, Robbie, for joining me today. I've just loved this conversation. Connection. We talked about meaning. We talked about a deeper relationship with ourselves. So everyone, This is Robbie Sloan. He's one of our contributors joining us on Unmasked on the 13th of June. If today's conversation resonated with you and you'd like to be part of a day dedicated to, as he said, honest conversations, some powerful experiences that I think we'll have, and genuine connection, we would love, love, love to see you there. You can find all the details and secure your ticket through the ThriveWell Hub. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who you feel might need to hear it. Until next time, this is Chantel from Self Care in the City. Take care of yourselves and others. Bye, everyone. Bye, Robbie. Thank you.